Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. The first, let me introduce myself. My name is Aksa Jamal from Accounting Education. Now I want to explain the main idea of the failure of International Accounting Standard Convergence article. The first of article, Introduction. There were problems in making investment and trading decisions when companies produced financial accounts using their own national regulations. Academics attempted to identify the factors that influenced the nature of accounting regulations. Although the academic effort did not offer any specific guidance on how to achieve greater accounting internationalizations, it generated discussions and encouraged regulators in several countries to consider solutions. The U.S. had a procedure for rigorous accounting regulation with the Securities and Exchange Commissions and Financial Accounting Standard Board. In 1978, national accountancy bodies from Australia, Canada, France, Germany, Mexico, the Netherlands, the United Kingdom, and Ireland, and the United States established the International Accounting Standard Committee. In 1992, the three standard setting bodies of Canada, the United Kingdom, and the United States met to discuss some of the accounting issues confronting them. In January 2001, it was agreed that G4+1 group would disband. The G4+1 group cancelled its proposed future activities and submit its current work to the IASB as potential project. The IASB was established formally in April 2001. The second of article, the growth of internationalization. It was not until 1988, after the ISC had issued nearly 30 separate standards, that the FASB publicly announced its position on international accounting. The declaration by the FASB for greater international involvement was met with enthusiasm by the ISC. They regret the desired outcome was the worldwide use of a single set of quality accounting standards for both domestic and cross-border financial reporting. It is argued that the undeclared aim of the FASB was that U.S. accounting standards were to be recognized worldwide. One could question the declared implement and role of the U.S., but undoubtedly international accounting needed a boost. Although enthusiasm had been expressed in 1978 for accounting internationalization, progress was slow. Given these limited resources, the achievement of the IASC was noteworthy. In retrospect, it can be argued that it was the interest shown by the U.S. that was the driver of the change needed to rejuvenate the search for internationalization. In 2002, the recently appointed chair of the IASB, David Tweedy, made clear his aim of spreading international accounting standard to the U.S. Tweedy set out the IASB two main objectives as follows. The third of article, the Norwalk Agreement. The appointment of Hearst to VISB broke with its commitment to convergence, which complement the objective of the restructured IASB under David Tweedy. It was intended that the final agreed standard would be international standards and the U.S. would adopt them. The Norwalk Agreement sets out the following aims of the two boards and the priority action that they intended to take jointly for the immediate future. The problem faced by the two parties in following the convergence route chosen were probably underestimated. There was also the issue that seems to be overlooked, that is convergence involving change the international standard mean that all those countries that had already adopted them would have to make change to their accounting practice. Many of pronouns in support of the convergence project emphasize that the aim was to produce high quality standards. The SAC 2000 state that high quality standard must have consistency, comparability, relevance, and reliability. The fourth of article. Following the Norwalk Agreement, the VISB and the IASB worked successfully on several short-term projects. 2002, the Norwalk Agreement was signed, and the announcement of the short-term projects both would work on jointly. 2006, the issue of roadmap. They shift from the strategy of converging standards, as this was proving too difficult, and moved to a strategy of developing new standards to replace the old ones. 2008, the issues of another road map. This was update of the 26 document, but indicate that the US would not adopt IFRS. The 2008 roadmap was met with considerable applause, but there were seen that the adoption of IFRS the US was uncertain. In 2009, the SEC issued its fiscal plan for the fiscal years 2010 to 2015. In 2012, the VISB and The ESISB issued a jointly agreed paper on accounting for financial instruments. The fifth of article, success and failures. When assessing the history of the relationship, one can identify success and failures. The following example illustrate the progress that was made in some difficult areas and the problem that still exists. Stock option. There were demands from several quarters for stock option to be expensed, but there were political hurdles preventing this from taking place. In June of 1993, the FISB issued an exposure draft on stock option. The recommended the fair value approach option issue. The employees will be recorded in the financial statement as compensation expense. The process of convergence brought about some change. As via FISB and the ISB have issued similar standard on the treatment of stock-based compensation, financial accounting and reporting has been improved. Intangible assets. The most important asset for generating are intangible assets. The original regulation in the US allowed companies to use one of two methods when making acquisitions: the pooling of interest or forecast method. The first method combined the book value of assets and liabilities of the two companies to create a new balance sheet of the combined companies, or as if it had always been one. The procedure is to compute the fair value of business segment using the present value of future cash flows and compare that to the carrying value. Accounting for leases. It has been argued that the effort to bring about a new leasing standard will undertaken more to keep the FISB and ISB relationship alive than for technical or conceptual reasons. In March 2009, a discussion paper releases preliminary fees was published. The board began deliberations on exposure draft leases in January 2011. Although it can be argued that there are many similar with the two standards, the fact is that full convergence was not achieved. Each standard must be universally acceptable and cannot be structured to meet the need of the US. The sixth of article, the end of convergence. The convergence project had been fruitful with strong seal of rapport between FISB and the ISB, but divisions of opinion were becoming evident as the technicalities of full standard convergence become more apparent. The messages in the roadmaps and other documents that were issued become less buoyant. The limited evidence available suggests the companies in smaller countries do not experience significant change on adoption of IFRS. Although the ISB has to satisfy a range of opinions to be able to issue standard. Unfortunately, the convergence project ended with a whimper. In contrast, the compensation and the Norwalk agreement had been met with public claim that divergence is not only possible but is taking place. The pressures to make amendments to standard because of the need to convergence offered a route to fundamental change to standards. If the sole aim of the VISB was to introduce change that were likely to meet oppositions, convergence has been partly effective in achieving the goal. If the ISB was reticent on the full adoption of international standards, the ISB could see the benefit in the US adopting them. More fundamental reason that the convergence agreement would not work. Although its importance is the 7th of article conclusions. The search for international accounting regulation started formally in 1973. The first standard setting organization, the International Accounting Standard Committee, issues many sound standards, some of which are still applicable today. In 2001, the formation of the International Accounting Standard Board (ISB) led to a shift in opinions. Despite the involvement of the US at an early stage in the attempt to form an international body, the US gradually withdrew. Considerable progress had been made with the convergence project, but when one reviewed the deep barriers, it is evident that complete convergence would be unbeatable. The search for convergence appears to have ended, and the US has decided to follow its own course. That's all my idea of the failure of international accounting standard convergence. I'm sorry if I have many mistakes. Thank you for attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.